Hi, I'm Carrie, and today I'm going to read to you from a book I wrote called Stories of the Saints with Pictures by Nick Thornborough. And the saint I'm going to read about today is Teresa of Calcutta, and this is her picture. One day, on a train to a spiritual retreat, Teresa heard a voice speak inside her heart. I am looking for people who will radiate my love on souls, the voice said. Come be my light. I can't go alone. Teresa was already a nun. She'd been born in Albania, then joined the Sisters of Loreto in Ireland. They sent her to Calcutta in India, where she served as the principal of a school for girls for 20 years. She was happy there and never had any plans to leave. But when Teresa heard the voice speak in her heart, she also felt God's pain over the way poor people were treated. And she felt how much God wanted poor people to love him and how much he wanted them to know his love. For 2 years, Teresa thought and prayed about how to answer that call. Then, when she was 38 years old, she walked out of her convent into the streets of Calcutta. When the door closed behind her, she had nothing to her name but the few things she carried on her back and permission to start a new order for the poor. And the poor were all around her, living in crowded neighborhoods without enough food, clean water, or medicine. That first day, she had no idea what to do, so she simply helped anyone she saw. She met some children who were covered with crusty sores and gently washed them. She found an old man lying sick on the side of the road and cared for him. She found a starving woman dying of tuberculosis and did everything she could think of to ease her pain. Because Teresa had no money, she had to beg for her own food and for supplies to help the people she met. Looking for a home for herself, she walked and walked until her arms and legs ached. But every morning, no matter where she had slept the night before, she took communion and prayed, then went back out. At the convent, she'd been safe and happy and full of faith. But in the streets, she was often lonely and full of doubt. Some days, she wondered if God even loved her anymore. Just think, the devil would whisper to her, if you only say the word, everything you had back in the convent can be yours again. But Teresa refused to listen. God, she prayed, I want to stay here. I want to do whatever you say. Teresa found an abandoned temple and turned it into a home for people who were dying, free for everyone who was poor. She wanted anyone who hadn't been cared for in life to know that they were loved at the moment of their death. Some of the students from her old school joined her, and together they started to care for lepers in Calcutta. Then they began to care for lepers all over India and in other countries as well, Venezuela, Italy, Tanzania. But Teresa had a secret. As her order grew and as her face became famous all over the world, she only longed for one thing: to feel the love of God. But since she started working with the poor, she had almost never felt it. All this time, she said, I was hiding a broken heart. But this was also a kind of gift. Teresa wasn't a stranger to loneliness and sorrow. She knew what it was like to feel abandoned and long for love. So she knew how the people she served felt. Because of her broken heart, she didn't look down on them from above. She worked at their side like a sister or a brother, Despite everything, Teresa never gave up. She started new orders so that men could join in caring for the poor, and an order that allowed people from all walks of life and any faith to join in the work. And those orders started orphanages and schools all over the world and cared for anyone who needed help. People with AIDS, refugees, old people, people struggling to live through epidemics of disease and famine, and people who lived with homelessness, blindness, disability, and addiction. When Teresa died, people all over the world mourned. But all over the world, her work still goes on. Thanks for listening.